Welcome back to TechNet Radio. In today's episode, we're joined by Scott Richardson and Tom Woods as they discuss how Microsoft IT implemented Windows Azure migration strategies for over 1,500 internal lines of business applications. Listen in as they discuss the how-tos and lessons learned for this massive project. Tom, the mic is yours.
Hi, I'm Tom Woods, Principal Solution Manager in the Product Group Strategic Initiatives team within Microsoft IT. With me is Scott Richardson, Senior Architect with our Field IT organization. Field IT is essentially the global arm of Microsoft IT. Over the next several minutes, we're going to talk about application segmentation and Azure migration strategies, both for the entire Microsoft IT application portfolio and the application portfolio managed by Field IT. Thanks for joining us. So Scott, how are you?
I'm good, Tom. Thanks. I'm looking forward to talking with you.
So Scott, why are you so excited about Windows Azure and what has made it a priority for Field IT?
Well, Tom, I'm a certified public accountant and I've done an extensive financial analysis of the financial benefits of moving our portfolio to Windows Azure. And I'm here to say the financial gains are real. There is significant benefit in the commoditization of data center services.
So Scott, when PGSI started working on application segmentation, we took into account both the business and technical aspects of the application portfolio used within Microsoft. On the business side, there were several data points we looked at. We looked at the criticality of the application in relation to running the business at Microsoft, the regulatory exposure based on the business solution, and the sensitivity level of information that the application makes use of. On the technical side, we looked at data points like complexity of the solution design, monitoring needs, access to source code, and database size, among many others. We connected with application owners, and based on their input about application properties in these areas, we were able to segment each application into basic, intermediate, or advanced categories. That segmentation can then be used to create a migration roadmap. Typically, basic applications will migrate first because they represent less risk and higher compatibility. Intermediate next, and then advanced. How does this align with the work you've done in Field IT?
Well, Tom, the Field IT portfolio was segmented as part of that PGSI exercise that you just explained. That is when our journey to the cloud began in earnest. Like many of our counterparts in the tech industry, and especially those who work on the Microsoft platform, we took training on Azure to help us understand the differences between the cloud and the on-premises Windows Server environment that we are used to. This helped us to appreciate some of the challenges that we would face as well as some of the opportunities that would present themselves.
Tell me more about the tools you used and how that furthered your analysis.
We gained a better understanding of the different components that make up the platform, the features that are available, and just as importantly, the ones that are not yet available. We then went into a deeper level of analysis of our application portfolio. We utilized tools that were available to us, including those found on the windowsazure.com website, to analyze the code base of our applications. We looked at aspects of each application, such as the .NET framework version, specific capabilities utilized in SQL Server, whether an application used a layered design, and other aspects of our applications. Then we settled upon two reference architectures based on our typical application needs and assigned each application at least one of these two potential future state architectures. In what we call the public architecture, 100% of a target application's components are moved to Azure. With our hybrid architecture, only the web components are moved to Azure while the databases stay on premises.
What was the purpose behind assigning more than one architecture to an application?
To a large extent, it is a question of timing. We pay close attention to the announcements made at the Professional Developers Conference each year and any other announcements that the Azure team make about their future plans. Because we are part of Microsoft, we also get some early visibility to the Azure platform. This means that we can anticipate future features and services that will become available. As a simple example, an application may have a database that is too large to deploy on SQL Azure. So in this scenario, the assigned reference architecture would be a hybrid model utilizing both public cloud for web services and on-premises hosting for the databases on a standard SQL Server instance. However, with some rework, multiple databases could support the application sharing the data, making it possible to host the application fully on the Azure platform. Looking into the future, the maximum size of databases capable of being hosted on SQL Azure may increase. In this case, the full cloud reference architecture would not change compared to the multiple database option, but the application design would change as well as the cost implications. These are the types of architectural options we considered as we analyzed each application in our portfolio. All of this activity gave us a better understanding of the amount of work required to migrate each application to Azure. From recent conversation with you, Tom, I believe that you have been building a toolkit that will incorporate some of these activities.
That's right, Scott. Within the PGSI group, I have responsibilities over technical readiness, which includes producing a self-serve Windows Azure adoption toolkit and discovering additional tools and utilities that will accelerate Windows Azure adoption within the IT department. The toolkit provides step-by-step guidance for IT to analyze their portfolio, assess Azure suitability, make the business case, and build a migration plan. The idea was to incorporate the best tools we could find across many different groups, including Microsoft Consulting Services, the Azure Product Group, Server and Tools Tactical Group, and even your very own field IT efforts. Some of these tools are publicly available today and move the process to a more of a self-serve model. In addition to the step-by-step guidance, we highly recommend a few reference books, like Moving Applications to the Cloud on the Microsoft Windows Azure platform, available from the MSDN Patterns and Practices site. The ultimate outputs from the toolkit are application migration proposals and an overall portfolio migration plan. By formulating a common framework for the process, we'll bring efficiencies and ultimately realize the benefits of Azure in less time. But this is something that Field IT has already delivered from what I hear. Can you tell me some more about how you achieved this?
Glad to. We followed much the same approach as you've built into the toolkit, utilizing the same tools and following similar steps. We took the Azure Total Cost of Ownership calculator, results a step further, however, and applied net present value calculations to them. We looked at our portfolio of applications and identified some common services we need to build. These services can be utilized by multiple applications and can save both time and money on the migration effort and on future maintenance costs. We also look for new business opportunities that may be exposed by migration to Azure, such as increased availability during peak periods, and business capabilities that become affordable and therefore achievable through the elastic properties of the cloud. And also implemented disaster recovery strategies. We now have a migration plan and a proposal at a portfolio level as well as an application-specific level. We have presented the portfolio plan to the Cloud Adoption Steering Group within MSIT, and we're currently progressing with presentations to the individual application business owners.
Sounds like you've prepared well. So what are the next steps for Field IT in terms of Azure migration?
Assuming we get approval to proceed with our proposals, we will start executing on our migration plans. The plan extends out for the next few years, so we will need to revisit and revise our plans based on our experience, as well as the evolution of the Azure platform itself and what we learn from the experiences of other groups going through similar migration activities. The cloud is such a new space for all of us, we certainly don't see our plan set in stone. We see it very much as an iterative process. We plan, we execute, we learn, and then we go back and adjust our plans as needed.
That sounds like a very pragmatic approach, Scott. Seems to me that combining step-by-step guidance and training, effective tools, and the tremendous work from Field IT would be a powerful combination that would benefit the entire IT organization.
I agree. I know that the work that both PGSI and Field IT invested in developing a migration process would probably be helpful to the rest of the Microsoft organization. How do you think the toolkit can help the migration process, and what about post-deployment considerations?
The current plan for the toolkit includes guidance for two more phases: delivery, deployment, and operations. There are a lot of issues to resolve in these phases, and it will take a lot of thought and coordination to get it right. But having some rationalized and effective guidance that will take teams all the way to production will be as necessary and helpful as the planning phase. PGSI has experience delivering the auction tool and other applications successfully onto the Azure platform. We can tap that expertise and package it to get folks started.
That sounds like a plan that will get applications moving to the Azure platform and guidance that our folks in Field IT can utilize as well.
Definitely, Scott. Thanks so much for sharing your insights and experiences on all the great work that Field IT has accomplished on application segmentation. We look forward to working more with you and the rest of the team.
Thanks, Tom. We look forward to working with you as well.
For additional information, periodically visit the Windows Azure site. Thank you for joining us, and we'll see you next time.